With some of the things that Andrew and I have gone over for a lot of years. So I'm going to start off by thanking the Olson Funeral Home for helping make this day possible. Thanks to Bill Zimmerman at Zimmerman Company being able to get this done for us rather, so quickly. I sent it to him Monday night and he had it at my house Tuesday morning. So major thanks to him. So the words I'm going to tell you now are going to reflect the life that my wife and I experienced with Grandma over the last 16 years. While this is going to be our point of view about our beloved friend and family member, I can assure you that it will matter not whether you ever spent a day with her or you're here just to support a loved one. The lessons learned being with her will apply equally to all. On a very personal note, this woman has been my grandmother since the day I met her. I've never referred to her as my wife's grandmother. She accepted me since day one as her surrogate grandson. I remember the first day I met her. I stopped at her house to leave flowers for my future wife. She was gardening, which she loved to do so much. With her backside in the air, like one of those wooden pieces of lawn art of the old lady gardening, I approached her and asked if I can leave these flowers on Andrew's steps. And she turned and said, "You must be Dave." I said that I am, and that I'm very pleased to meet you. I would soon live above her and see her every day. Shoveling her walks, taking out her garbage, etc. Spending more time with her over 16 years than I've spent with any other family member over 36. As we all know, Raphaella is very passionate about her family and always put them first. From last minute sleepovers, playing poker, and taking all of our money on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was Grandma's time to let loose. This was her day when her makeup was top notch, her hair and nails were done, and she finally pulled out some of that nice jewelry. Though she robbed us of our money every Thanksgiving, her love was never second class. I want to tell you 3 stories about our experiences with Raphaella and what she meant to me and my family. Before I do that, I'm going to grab some water. My first story is about mourning the loss of our late Diane Zorn. This was something that I know this family did not have the strength to bear. But looking back and connecting these dots, I know that without that heartbreaking event, it would have deprived my Charlie and Renee the revelation of all they would accomplish together through their great-grandmother. A friendship that will define them both in ways that they right now don't realize. As fate would have it, Charlie Raphaella is named after her great-grandmother. They both, Charlie and Grandma, have spoken about the rarity of being named after your best friend. My girls and Raphaella needed each other. Believing that those dots would connect down the road gave Raphaella the strength and the confidence to carry on in the future. One of the things she talked about she and I talked about many times together was the origin of her name. Raphaella is Hebrew for healer, or the one God is healed. We find this especially true. The wounds that she was able to heal in this family after a loss of Mom and Diane, words simply cannot describe it. Now, it matters not where your spiritual belief lies. It's a universal feeling that nobody wants to die. Even people that want to go to heaven don't want to have to die to get there. But don't lose faith. My second story is about the odd couple. Raphaella loved to spend time with her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, while the grandchildren and great-grandchildren have, for the better, learned a lot from them. There's another side of that coin. How do I say this? If you knew her, what's that? Did you pre-read it, Pat? Because that's in here. Verbatim, if I read it, if you knew her, you would know that she had some bad traits as well, particularly with foul language. Words I couldn't dare to speak right now in front of you. At 80 years old, she would actively babysit Charlie. If you would happen to call her house while Charlie was there, you were in for a treat. You would hear, and pardon my volume, you would hear, "Charlie, who's on the phone?" Screaming in the background. And if Grandma were to happen to pick up the phone, you'd hear the same thing from Charlie, or the two of them screaming at each other. As Charlie transitioned to school full-time, Renee would take her place. You see, Renee is a little more impressionable. Just last week, we were over at her uncle's house, Brandon Nolan's birthday party. She was using the bathroom, and you hear her yell, "Hey! Close the damn door!" A phrase not used in our house. But Grandma's house, on the other hand. What's that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. For my third story, for the past few months, my family had the pleasure of having Grandma live with us. Not knowing what this could mean to us at the time, I can only now realize that it meant we had to ask her everything we thought we'd have a few years to talk about. It meant we had to make sure everything was off the table, so that it would be as easy as possible for this family to transition. It meant we had to say our goodbyes, but experiencing every day with her through her life. During this time, she and I spent every day together. My wife works first, I work third, so someone was always home with her. She got up around the time that I got home. So I come home at 7 a.m., I make her coffee just the way she liked it, piping hot and black. And for lunch, I'd make ham sandwiches. We'd watch TV and talk for hours. Most of the time we spoke in Spanish. I know it was something that she loved but didn't do very often. I was amazed at how much Spanish I learned from her through the years, enough to talk for a few hours. Family and friends, and all the amazing people that came here to honor Raphaella, this outpouring of love and respect proves that after 86 years, she's impacted the lives of so many. Raphaella wasn't perfect, right? But I'm willing to bet she thought so. I know this because an argument with her was not often won. Even if it was something as obvious as the color of the sky, which is azul, by the way. That's Spanish for blue. There were a few things that had been forgotten in her old age. She was crafty. She was very independent. But here's something none of you guys ever had to do. I can remember so many times trying to walk her through turning on her TV. So much, in fact, I make a 25-minute drive just to turn the TV on. Because that was way easier than 45 minutes of switching the input, hitting the power button, and many other things. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. No, not at all. But the crazy part about that is, and this isn't in here, but she would try it herself for a while, and then I'd go over there, and no matter what it is, I'd say, Grandma, how long have you been dealing with this? Oh, it's been a few weeks, right? So she just, it's just funny that way. Friends, family, you need to know that it's okay to process your emotions. I see a lot of emotions. It's okay to feel that way. This isn't a time to be strong for anybody else. I thought about that when I was coming up here, and I was wondering, why am I doing this, right? I'm not particularly good with handling situations like this, especially for someone that I care about so much. I was hesitant to do it at first because I thought that being up here, I'd have to be strong for you guys, right, to not show my emotions. So what that meant was I'd have to displace my feelings to another time to try to be strong. But you don't have to be strong for anybody else. This is your time to be vulnerable. It's your time to get it out. So, Grandma has validation that she meant something to people. This is your time to mourn and process this in your own way. But it's important that you process it. Just don't displace it. You have to process it. Someone once said that pain is temporary. It may last for an hour, a day, or even a year, but eventually it will subside and something else will take its place. If we quit, however, it'll last forever. I implore you to process these emotions in any way you feel comfortable. This is a quote from one of my favorite fake people ever. Our job is to remember that we will, in time, also pass on. Luminous beings are we. Our bodies are temporary vessels, and we shall find ourselves here in time. A moment of silence. I ask you to remember, but also try to move on. The blessing of life is your spirit. If you've lost your spirit, you've lost everything. Raphaella never lost her spirit. Her birthday was a week prior to her passing. We went there with some cake, some ice cream, and those of us that were there, we can see how it was. We can see what she was feeling. But we also knew that she was at peace with what was going to happen. Brandon leaned over and gave her a kiss as he was leaving and said, "I love you." And the only thing she said back, she didn't say, "I love you too." She said, "Don't ever forget it." In closing, death is the destination that we all share. No one has ever escaped it, and that is as it should be. Because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's changing agent. It clears out the old and makes way for the new. Someday long from now, you will gradually become the old, and the new will take over. It's dramatic, but it's true. Your time here is limited, so don't waste it living your life for someone else. Live your life for yourself. And then when the time comes, live your life for your children, for your grandchildren. And if you're so lucky to have the opportunity to create a relationship with your great-grandchildren, which Grandma's described to be like no other. Thank you for your love and support for such a wonderful yet bitter old lady, whom we all cherished. So we rejoice for Raphaella, Dean, for Grandma, for Gigi. She's something different for all of us. Yet we will mourn because we miss her. She has reached her final destination, and that is the ultimate goal.